Hey there guys, I'm Hello Japan, and welcome to my Microsoft press conference discussion slash final thoughts video. So, for me, actually, I taken a couple hours after watching the Microsoft press conference. I've finished viewing the Ubisoft and the EA press conferences, and I've got a couple hours until the Sony press conference starts. So I figured I would record the audio for these first three press conferences of June 15th, 2015. So first off, today Microsoft began the morning, or afternoon, and they had quite a list of things to show off. Pretty entertaining all the way through. I mean, there was a few dead moments, but you pretty much are going to see that with everyone, with the exception of Bethesda, who I thought was pretty entertaining all the way through. But Microsoft did pretty well with keeping the energy levels constant. Again, they dipped down when they got to an indie game section, but that's kind of to be expected because indie games are pretty divisive. Like, they divide the audience quite a bit. Either you see an indie game you like and you like it, or you see one you don't and you just kind of get bored with it. So, but they didn't start the conference with that. They started the conference with Halo 5 Guardians. Always got to remember that subtitle there. But they started with a new trailer. Honestly, I don't know if I'm excited about Halo or not. I mean, I'm a big Halo fan, and I've really enjoyed Halo for years now. I mean, ever since the original, watching my friends play it on Xbox Originals. But something about this Halo just has a different vibe to it. It seems a lot more squad-based. Now, I'm sure you can probably play it solo, and that's one thing they haven't really clarified to yet, or clarified, you know, exactly whether or not it's only solo, or if you play it solo, you're gonna have CPU players with you, or what. But basically, the way, from what I'm understanding, is it's similar to Halo 2 in the sense that you're gonna have two different stories you're following. In Halo 2, you had Master Chief and the Arbiter, and you were playing as both sides, alternating every once in a while, and seeing how their stories intertwined and how they work together. Same kind of thing with Halo 5 here. You have one Spartan named Locke and his group of Spartans, and then you have Master Chief and his group of Spartans. Now, you can play with 4 people, and the demo they did showed 4 people playing together, and they were playing as Locke. We didn't actually see Master Chief with the exception of the trailer. So the gameplay showed Locke and his squad going after Master Chief, fighting through some Arbiters, and really big explosion-y set-piece kind of moments, which has me kind of scared because I don't want it treading into the Call of Duty territory, where it's cool and it's fun and everything, but it relies too much on set pieces. Now, I'm hoping it doesn't do that. It seemed like it's a little different in its approach, more so than Call of Duty, meaning it gives you more of an open space to run around than just the mostly linear corridor. But it seemed like it was okay. Again, just gotta pay attention to those big set-piece moments because you don't want too many of them. Have a few sprinkled throughout and it would be very, very enjoyable. But like I said, they didn't clarify if it could be played solely single-player or if you had to have your friends, so I'm not too sure about that. But one thing they did mention was multiplayer. Now, the multiplayer looks pretty sweet. They showed off a game mode called, what was it called? Warzone, where not only is it normal, they didn't say how many versus how many, but red versus blue. Pretty standard Halo par for the course now, multiplayer. But they also included Covenant dropships. So not only do you have to fight each other, but you also have to manage the Covenant that are coming in, and the Protheans, or not Protheans, Prometheans? Whatever it's been a long time since I played Halo, but whatever the other enemy type is now, you have to manage everyone in a big war zone essentially, and it's really, really cool idea. And I'm guessing there must be objective markers along the way, and various kind of things as you play through. And here I didn't. Okay, so I did write there is drop-in drop-out co-op, which would kind of signify that the game is pretty multiplayer centric. Even the single player is multiplayer centric, which has me a bit concerned because, like I said, my Halo single player experience has always been just that, a single player experience. And it has me kind of nervous if I have to rely on, you know, NPC people to control my partners. Now, they did do it with Reach, and it was, for the most part, okay, except for Cat's driving was pretty atrocious, but that's besides the point. But as a whole, you know, it looked okay. Graphically, it looked fine. Nice particle effects from some of the weapons that, you know, burned people to a crisp. I like that. The graphics looked fine. Some nice water effects, like raindrops and sweat and, you know, condensation, that sort of thing. And as a whole, it looked pretty graphically fine for the Xbox One. I mean, it wasn't too fantastic like Doom was, but it was still pretty good looking. And they do have a release date. It is October 27th, 2015. I'm very excited. Let me know what you think of Halo 5, whether or not you're going to pick it up. I'm still kind of on the fence. I don't think I'm going to buy it right away, to tell you the truth. I think I'm going to wait. Wait and see some reviews, because I'm still not convinced yet. Halo 4 had me convinced. Halo 5, not really. Not really. Still need to make my mind up. Probably by reading some reviews. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Okay, then after that, we had a game called ReCore. Very out of left field, but it's actually from the creator of Metroid, Keiji Inafune, which I was very surprised by. You know, you see that name and you're like, that's Nintendo, that's not Microsoft. Very, very strange to see, but I was kind of pleasantly surprised by it. Because we didn't see anything other than just a cinematic trailer, but from what I could gather from the cinematic trailer, you play as this girl who travels around with this, almost like, I don't know what to say, like a energy battery ball kind of thing that she can stick into robots and make them become her companion. So picture, Knack. Knack had the little power core in his center that basically gave him life and made him Knack. Knack could fall apart, use other pieces to come back together, but as long as that central core was inside him, that would create Knack. So that center core device is what she used to power these different robots that came along with her on her journey, which has me very excited. And it's, from the trailer, it only looks like she's the only one in this post-apocalyptic, maybe desert world surrounded by robots, and it seemed pretty cool. But besides that, I mean, they didn't really show too much. It has a release date, tentative release date of spring 2016, so besides the little bit that they showed, we really don't know too much more about it. And if you guys have seen it at all, or looked at it at all, let me know what you think. And especially a game coming from the creator of Metroid, it could be pretty interesting. Now, whether or not it's going to be like a Metroid, or if it's going to be a completely new kind of game, you know, only time will tell. Okay, now something huge they announced. Not necessarily directly related to a specific game, but many games, was the announcement of Xbox One backwards compatibility. Yeah, so with several hundred, they made it sound like, and if not later down the line, several thousand Xbox 360 games, you can play them coming this holiday on your Xbox One. So from what I understand is that they're going to offer them digitally on the Microsoft Xbox Store front, but you can put in your disc to purchase them. To purchase them if you don't own them already. You can put in your disc of the game you already own, download it for free from the network, from the service, and play it there. Now that's what I'm assuming it meant. It's still a little in the air about whether or not it's a download service or if it's a just put the disc in and play it or emulate it. It hasn't really been fully explained yet. They made it sound like you download something and play it like that. I'm very interested to find out, you know, how this is going to work, but they did demonstrate it by playing Mass Effect 1, a little snippet of Mass Effect 1, on an Xbox One using the Xbox 360 disc, which could be really, really cool, but I'm not really too sure. Now, I believe they said it is available, or will be available very shortly to the Xbox beta people, whoever has, they have a beta service for like their dashboard updates and things, and if you're part of that, you are able to get this service much before people that like me who do not have that service. But it is coming this holiday, so I'm looking very forward to going back and playing some of my old 360 games that are just kind of laying around right now, because the 360, besides Assassin's Creed, really doesn't get much love. Really does not get much love. And another thing, besides the new backwards compatibility reveal, they showed off a new controller called the Elite Controller, because it seems like everything related to if Xbox eventually becomes called the Elite. I mean, last generation we had the Xbox Elite version. Now we have the Elite controller. I mean, just throw Elite on there, and that means it's the better, improved version. But this controller actually has me quite fascinated by it, because if you look at the standard, kind of looking for, I don't have my Xbox One controller near me. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I don't. Oh, I do. Here it is. You guys can't see it, but I'm holding it in my hands. And if you look at the standard Xbox One controller, the way it's set up, you have the triggers on the back, the bumpers, analog sticks, you know, D-pad, face buttons, the whole 9 yards. But what they've added on this new controller is swappable D-pad, so you can replace it with the traditional cross D-pad or a new round face D-pad, which has me intrigued. Don't know if I buy it yet. Swappable sticks, and then they also have triggers within the inside of the hand grips. Now, I'm assuming those are more so used for, picture a hand, like on a racing wheel. Like, those kind of, like, hand triggers that you pull to change shift gears and things, like a gear shifter. Something like that. It feels like that, and you can change those, swap all kinds of parts. New headphone jack in the bottom of the controller. Really, really excited for the new redesign. Again, I mentioned it during my pre-thoughts. Not gonna buy it just because it's a little too much money for a controller that I already have 2 of, and there's no point until one of these breaks. So it is kind of cool. For those of you who only have 1 controller, I guess it would be a reasonable upgrade. But keep in mind, it is pretty expensive, coming in at, I think, probably 60 to 65 bucks. So yeah, kind of want to look out for that. And then after that, we had good old Todd Howard come in, just off of his Bethesda high after showing off Fallout 4 for the very first time last night. And he showed off basically the same thing that he talked about last night about Fallout 4. VATS was looking cool. They have all of the customization to the game, a little bit of the story. Yeah, so if you want to see it, you can click over to my Bethesda conference video, which I might include, or if the link on screen, I'm not sure, I might include it somehow, but if not, you can go find it on my my E3 playlist on my channel. But the one thing he did mention that was a little bit different as compared to his conference at Bethesda last night was he said that with Fallout 4, you can take mods you have on the PC version and move them to the Xbox One. Now, whether or not the PS4 is going to have that, not too sure, because Sony, again, hasn't presented tonight, and I'm not really too sure. But the idea of being able to take all of those sick and twisted mods that probably don't work with each other all the time and move it over to a console has me very excited. And the possibility of me only having to buy, say, the Xbox One version and taking those mods and just moving them over to the Xbox One instead of having to play it on PC, or, you know, vice versa, or whatever. I'm very excited. I'm really, really excited to see what it's like. Now, I'm sure they'll limit you. You probably can't do certain kinds of mods and certain kind of giant overhauls. Maybe you can do texture overhauls or ENBs. Maybe it'll be everything. I'm not really too sure, you know, and we'll find out more, I'm sure, as the game approaches with a release date of November. I believe it was November 1st, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the release date was November 1st. And as it gets closer, we'll find out more information. Now, we were watching, my brother and I, we were watching the conference, and it did say that Fallout 4 comes with a copy of Fallout 3. Now, whether or not that just kind of supports their backwards compatibility claim, I'm not sure, or if it's a completely reworked version of Fallout 3, I'm not really sure either. I mean, it would be interesting to see if that's true, but it did mention it on screen. It did pop up for a second, and then went away. Now, whether or not, like I said, that's true, I have no idea, but if you guys have any, any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. And would you be willing to play through Fallout 3 again, or just like them giving a copy away just to give it away? And then after that, they had good old EA come out with EA Access. Now, EA Access, I kind of knew about, didn't really pay too much attention to. It's basically a subscription service where you pay a set price every month, and you gain access to a catalog of games. Now, before, I remember hearing about this, and it was like limited to certain EA games, and it was like, oh, these are okay. But they never really had anything that would make it worthwhile. But the cool thing is that if you, all this week, the whole time E3 is going on, if you have an Xbox One, you can go and download the EA Access app from the Xbox One Marketplace and play all the EA Access games for free. So that includes Titanfall. They are saying that, I don't know if it includes it right now, but they're saying Titanfall will be coming out to EA Access, as well as I believe Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, possibly? It might already be on there, I'm not too sure. I have it written down there somewhere. But I don't know if I would really use a service like this. I would take advantage of the free trial, but I don't think I would ever use it. If gaming goes completely this way, of course, I'll pay my service and then just get my games every month. But I really hope, if nothing more, it just shifts from physical copies to digital copies. I hope so. I don't know. We'll see though. We'll see. But EA Access, not quite sold on it yet. Gotta show me more than just what they showed off at this press conference. And the next reveal was Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. I didn't play Plants vs. Zombies 1, or Garden Warfare 1. I have it. I played probably 5 seconds of it, but, you know, not enough to actually get a feel for what the game is like. I like the quirkiness of Plants vs. Zombies, so color me curious, I guess. I'll take a look at it. But beyond that, they just said, oh, it comes out spring 2016. You got some new characters and levels. Really don't know much more beyond that. So if you know anything more about Garden Warfare 2, by all means, let me know in the comments down below. Now, I'm not much of a racing guy. Not much at all. But they did show off Forza 6, and Forza 6 looked pretty cool. Just, to me, again, it just seems like another racing game, but it is scheduled to release September 15th, 2015, so if you're a racing fan and you want your racing fix, there you go. You got some Forza just right on the horizon. Then after that, they had the one game I was really looking forward to. Wasn't sure who was going to show it, whether it was going to be Microsoft or Sony, but it ended up being Microsoft, and maybe Sony will show it too. Not too sure, but we got to see it from Microsoft first. And that was Dark Souls 3. Now, they didn't do anything more than just show probably the intro cinematic, but it overlooks the landscape of Dark Souls 2, where Dark Souls 2 took place. I'm assuming, because it looked very similar. It looked very similar. And it was just destroyed. It looks like centuries have passed, even millennia have passed, and old castle in the distance is really decrepit and looks like it's about to fall over. Nasty, demon-looking things roaming the wasteland, and at the very end, they show a giant king, possibly, getting up. Now, it could be the king that we took down. Who was it? The Ashen King? I don't know. I didn't play the DLC, so I don't quite know. But it could be one of the kings you took down in one of the earlier titles, awakening. Now, I don't know if it's relation. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is. But I'd be very excited to find out just anything else from the game. Now, there was some leaked information pre-E3, so there is already some information out there about the game, because with this press conference here, they didn't really show off too much about it. They did say, however, it will be releasing early 2016, so that has me very, very excited as well, and I can't wait, guys. I have to finish Bloodborne first, though. Bloodborne first, and then we can tackle Dark Souls 3. But yeah, I'm ready to die many, many times. Following Dark Souls 3, they showed off The Division. Now, we hadn't seen The Division for quite some time. It's been in development for what seems like forever. Announced, dated, pushed back, and then kind of rinsed and repeated from there. But it kind of retains its same 5v5, or not 5v5, like open world craziness. And looking at it now, I'm starting to get the feeling that they're drawing a lot of inspiration from Borderlands and Destiny. Now, whether or not that's a good thing, now whether or not you like those games, you know, it really comes down to personal taste. But if it's anything like those two games, mixed with its own special Ghost Recon Tom Clancy kind of gameplay, this could be a really, really successful game. they didn't show too much, again, but they did announce one thing, anything more than they've already been showing off. They did announce an exclusive Xbox One beta coming this December. Now, whether or not you sign up for it or how you get access to it, I don't remember if they said, but I am very excited to see if I can sign up for this, because this is something I would be interested in. It's a game I myself and my brother have been following for a while, ever since it was announced a couple years ago, and I want to see more. I want to see more of this. So, Rainbow Six Siege followed The Division. I'm not really that big of a fan of Rainbow Six Siege. It's coming out October 13th, 2015. It's still the same kind of gameplay where, you know, like it's a 5v5, kind of like a Counter-Strike sort of game modes is what they've been showing. It's basically Ghost Recon's response to CSGO, or Counter-Strike as a whole. I'm not feeling it, man. I mean, it's cool, but it's not really my cup of tea. And if you're on the Xbox, because they announced the backwards compatibility thing, you'll get a free copy of Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2. And I've heard those two games are pretty good. Doesn't entice me enough to actually buy the game, but it is something cool for those of you who do love yourselves some Rainbow Six. But again, not my kind of thing. Still something to look out for, though. And then this is when we got to the kind of boring part, where they talked about a bunch of indie games. Now, I'm just going to really list them, because I have a couple written down, and I'm only going to talk about one in particular, the one that really caught my interest the most. They announced a game called Gigantic, which is coming out for the Xbox One and Windows 10, free to play. Tacoma, which was from the developers of Gone Home, which takes place in space. Looks pretty interesting. A game called Ashen, which is a very minimalist art style, kind of reminds me of like a Telltale, but more polygonal. And that is an open world survival game, which again looks pretty interesting. And then a game called Cuphead. Now, Cuphead is a 1930s cartoon art style inspired 2D side-scroller beat-em-up kind of game, and I am really, really excited for it. If you go look it up online, type in Cuphead into YouTube, go find some footage of it. It looks like a legit 1930s recolored cartoon. And it's really amazing how they were able to capture that style of animation, that art style and everything, and it's almost perfect. It's weird to call something almost perfect, but it is almost perfect in how it's done. And I couldn't be more excited for the game. However, it doesn't come out until 2016, so we still got a bit of ways to go in terms of the wait. So, why can't it be 2016 already? Now, another thing they briefly mentioned was something called Xbox Game Preview. I'm just going to really quickly cover this because it seems like it's something like Steam Early Access. And if it's anything like Steam Early Access, it could be a pile of dog shit. Truthfully, because that's really what Steam Early Access is like descended into. Now with the return program, which it seems like Xbox did mention they had a return policy. It might fix it, but at the same time, it leaves me kind of scared. The Xbox could be filled with garbage indie games like the Xbox 360 was. But who knows? I mean, maybe they'll be a little bit more filtered, but maybe not. So yeah, you know, we can only hope that it's not garbage like Steam is. And then after that, they showed off a new game from Dean Hall, the creator of DayZ, called Ion. Now, they didn't really show too much of it. I'm still not sure what it is, and because I wasn't able to capture footage of this conference, I can't actually show you. So you guys just have to literally go look it up and search Ion Dean Hall or Ion DayZ or something and try and figure out what it is, because I'm not really too sure. It's like a space exploration game, maybe space survival thing. It didn't really show much in the trailer, so I have no idea what it actually is. But a game called Ion by the guy that made DayZ is coming out. I guess that's kind of cool. Now, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I remember when this was announced that it was a Xbox One exclusive. People lost their shit. Tons of people got really, really upset. You know, I didn't really care too much because, frankly, at the time I didn't play Tomb Raider, and I've still only played about an hour or a little over an hour of Tomb Raider at this point. So I really don't care also, but now at this point I also do have a PS4 and an Xbox One. So if I want to get either, if I want to get a game on either system, it's already there, so I don't have to worry about it too much. But Rise of the Tomb Raider looks about the same. I mean, in terms of graphical fidelity, it's a little bit better. But it looks like Tomb Raider, the game that we got a couple years ago now. That's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it's fantastic. But it's still just kind of more of the same. So if you like Tomb Raider, you can get your Tomb Raider fix this holiday 2015. So yeah, Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, woo! And then after that, Rare had their time to shine. Yeah, the now kind of severely, like, beaten into the floor, stomped in the dirt, and just spit on developer who is owned by Microsoft. It did have their little moment to shine. They announced a new IP, which we'll get to in a moment, but they also announced 30 games for 30 years for $30. Because it's the 30th anniversary of Rare, they are releasing 30 of their most popular games, excluding any of the like Nintendo-specific IP ones, for $30. A total of 10,000 gamer score, and it will be available this August 4th, 2015. So I'm very excited. It's coming out in a couple of short months here. 30 games for 10,000 gamer score. Now, if you finish that, you are a beast of a human being, and I salute you. But it's everything, man. It's Banjo 1, Banjo 2, Perfect Dark, Force Gemini. That's 4 games, and that's like I can't think of anymore. But there's 30 games on this disc, or probably multiple discs. Maybe not, though. I mean, those games aren't too incredibly big. But still, 30 games, it's incredible. And I'm very excited to see, how this disc turns out and whether or not it's poopy. I guess only time will tell. But after that, they showed off Sea of Thieves, a new IP from Rare. Now, if you're familiar with the way Banjo and Kazooie came to be, Rare started this idea of a pirate-themed game, which eventually changed into Banjo, and you can still find evidence of the pirate that they were going to use as the main character within Banjo-Tooie. There's a sea area or a pirate area, and there's a pirate crying or drunk inside a tavern somewhere, and that's actually the pirate. But it's kind of cool going back. They're going back to an older idea, essentially, but this is like an open world pirate thieving game. It's very strange. It's not like anything they've done before, and as Rare said, it's their most ambitious title yet. It has a very interesting art style. I like the water effects they were showing during the cutscene of gameplay, or I think it said it was caught in engine. I think it was in engine. Now whether that's in game or in engine, it's a little words are very choice there, but but it seems very interesting, and we really don't know much about it other than it's a pirate game. You're sailing around the seas with your friends, and it's made by Rare. So it's the first new IP from Rare in quite some time. So Fable Legends. Oh, Fable Legends, how I want to love you and how I do hate you. I really could give 2 shits about Fable Legends at this point. They haven't convinced me, and I don't think they will. I bought an Xbox One, and I'm that close to buying it, meaning I have the platform now, but I still don't care. They've done terribly with the series. Fable 1, fantastic classic, mostly underwhelming in terms of like delivery, what Molyneux wanted to deliver, but a classic RPG in its own right. Fable 2, maybe not so much. A little less classic. There's still some positives there. And it's still not a terrible game. Fable 3, goose egg, not very good. Still okay. It was playable, and I got through it. Fable Legends, no, it's like a cooperative romp through Albion, and I just no. It is not the kind of game I want. But it's the kind of game they are delivering. Now, something interesting they mentioned before we get to the great finale of the of the Microsoft press conference. They announced that they're actually teaming up with Valve VR. Now let that sink in for a minute. It's weird because they also mentioned they were partnering with Oculus Rift, a competitor to Valve VR. It's interesting because Oculus is teaming up with the Xbox division to a certain or lesser extent, and Valve VR is teaming up with the Windows division. It's very, very strange. With every Oculus Rift consumer model, you get an Xbox One controller. And with this new relationship between Valve VR and Windows, I'm assuming you're going to be able to play Windows 10 native games within Steam, and Steam is really working with Windows to make a good platform for Steam on Windows 10. And it's very, very interesting because these two big powerhouses are merging. Not merging, but working together instead of like bumping heads to a certain extent. And it's very interesting to see how this will all play out. But then at the same time, keep this in mind. So we have Oculus, we have Valve VR, then we have HoloLens, Microsoft's own VR platform. Now they showed off some very cool Lego, or some very cool Minecraft demos during the conference today. And it sucks that I can't show you the footage because for some reason it just didn't capture. But essentially, it's like a giant Lego game, but with Minecraft. You can manipulate the world, you can move it around, you can interact with your friends that are playing inside this world, and you can look at them playing the world in a virtual reality environment. Very weird sounding, but it makes sense if you go and look for the footage. It's very, very interesting looking. So I just find it cool that Microsoft themselves are able to balance between 3 VR experiences. Oculus, the like first big pusher, I guess, of VR. Valve VR, the possible powerhouse of it, I would say, because if you can get Steam associated with Valve VR and like get the two of them working together and get the Steam community buying it, that is potentially a giant market. And then you have HoloLens, the very sophisticated, advanced technology behind. I mean, because at least with what HoloLens is showing off, it's far more advanced than either Valve or Oculus, in my opinion. But all 3 of these working together could turn out very well, or it could just fall flat on its face. I don't know. It's interesting to see, and I want to hear what you guys think of VR. Do you think VR is a gimmick and it will just eventually pass, or do you think, like me, where I think VR is the next foray, the next movement, the next advancement? Would I guess a better way to say it? Next advancement of the games industry. I would really like to hear what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. And then they wrapped up the show with none other than Gears of War. Not only Gears of War 1 remake, so it was, I mentioned during my pre-press conference video that if they show off Gears of War, I was hoping it'd be a remake of 1, 2, and 3, but it ended up only being a remake of the first one, which, I don't know, it was okay, I guess. They didn't show the pricing or anything. I don't think they dated it either. But a public beta is available today, I believe. I wrote that on there. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't remember. But I would be very interested to go look at that and see if that's actually accurate. So, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, look out for that. Coming to your Xbox One, probably right over the horizon. Then jumping over, they announced Gears of War 4. Yeah, but it's actually just called Gears 4 instead of Gears of War. Now, we're playing as a completely different character that showed a male character we were controlling, and then a female character was alongside us. Now, the only problem I had with this Gears video was it was dark as dicks. Like, it was really, really dark in the video, and you couldn't really see much. And I don't know if that was a problem with just the stream we were watching or what, but it was extraordinarily dark. Now, it was different as opposed to Gears of War Classic, that in Gears of War, the dudes in that were like massive beef mountains of just muscle and ripped testosterone. But in this, the main protagonist seemed more lean. He seemed like a far more agile, get up in your face, get running, and get moving really quickly kind of character, which I like. More like a real person. But the thing that made this game a little different than the original games is it had elements of horror in it, which I found interesting, as well as what seemed to be hunting. You were hunting locusts, or what appeared to be locusts of some kind. You also had the Lancer, so you had the chainsaw, and they showed some chainsaw kills, which was pretty cool. But again, I keep going back to the point, I keep writing it on here, on my little sheet of paper. It was really dark. The video was extraordinarily dark, and I couldn't see too much. Hopefully that was just some weird fluke and the game isn't actually like that. But that is something to take in consideration if you go watch the video yourself. I mean, are you guys excited for a new Gears? I haven't played the series like too much since 2. Like I said in the preview video, I did play Gears 3 a little over halfway with a buddy of mine. And then I played Gears of War Judgment for about an hour for the Let's Take a Crack At. But I haven't really been able to get back into the series since then, and I'm hoping that with the re-release of Gears of War 1, maybe I'll be able to get back into the series again and to go back and finish those games. But Gears 4 won't be coming out until holiday 2016, so we got a ways to go before we see any more Gears. Or at least a new installment of Gears. So I'll wrap it up for the Microsoft press conference discussion. If you have anything to comment on, let me know in the comments down below. If you saw something you didn't want to see during the press conference, or you didn't see something that you wanted to see, like me, I wanted to see Scalebound, but they made it sound like they're going to be showing more at Gamescom and other trade shows down the road, which sucks, but I really, really wish we could have seen more from that game, because that has me very, very intrigued. So yeah, leave comments down below if you enjoyed this video, or have anything else to comment on. Leave a like, because that is always much appreciated, and it always does help. But until then, I've been Hello Japan. This has been my discussion video for the Microsoft press conference. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya!